Hey guys, it's Frozenballz here, and welcome to yet another episode of the Minmax's Playground. Today is going to be a bit of a special episode, and by the title of the video, you can already guess why. But there's another reason.
You always start the same way, Jesus Christ.
What? Fuck you. Anyway, as you can hear, we have a guest with me. Some of you might already know who he is, but I'm joined today by Arthi. Why don't you introduce yourself, dickhead?
Oh, very nice way to talk to your friends, Frozen. My name is Arthi, like this other twat said. I do a lot of theory crafting, min-maxing, number crunching, that sort of stuff. I also manage his build albums, and I help Frozen with making these min-max videos, like this one.
Yeah. So guys, I figured since Trinity isn't necessarily my most played frame.
You never play her, dude.
So since she's not my area of expertise, I thought it would be a good idea to have this two perspectives kind of thing for this video. I literally met Arthi through Trinity, and he's the type of player to min-max the shit out of frames and play them for hyper efficiency, and Trinity has always been one of his favorite frames. Like, I'm not even lying, he plays Trinity more than I've played all of my frames combined together. He's played it for however long I can remember, and I thought it would be interesting to have his perspective on this, as well as all of the changes she's gone through, her current place in the game, her builds, and any other possible changes that might change for her for the better, hopefully. Arthi, you have anything to add?
I actually do. I want to ask your viewers and you yourself already a question, and it's kind of an important question to kind of get why Trinity is so good. Anyway, the question is, what are the two most important core mechanics in Warframe, in your opinion? Like,
crowd control, energy management, that sort of stuff?
Survivability and efficiency.
Oh, okay.
Every new player, when they first start, like, this is not just you and me, but every new player will start to look for two types of orbs: energy and health. If you have energized, that's one thing, but everybody looks for health orbs and energy orbs. Reason being, you need energy for abilities. You need health to survive. Those two things define not only your playstyle, but also your builds. You will build for survivability. You will build for efficiency. Energy is needed to use abilities. And if we can use abilities, we can farm quicker, kill faster, provide utility. And health, well, you kind of need health to stay alive. Otherwise, you cannot do anything. Those two things are the most important core mechanics in Warframe, and it's pretty much the reason why Trinity is so good. She is literally health and energy. She's a walking battery. She's the first support frame in the game, and by design, she completely ignores these two core aspects, and it's why she will forever be so good and be the best support frame.
Since when did you become so politically correct?
Hey, my name's PC Principal, man, and you better watch your microaggressions.
You cheeky shit with the South Park references. But yeah, pretty much what Arthi said. To be honest, I've not really played Trinity much because she was always this very grounded, simple passive frame. Don't get me wrong, she had and still has amazing abilities which make her incredibly insane. But she never really appealed to me as a frame. Like, I knew how strong her Bless build was and how useful Eevee is, but it's just not my playstyle.
Yeah, well, she wasn't always this EV battery, you know? Like, before update 13.3, nobody really cared about EV. It was all about Blessing and Link and God mode. But after that update, that fucking update, everything changed.
Praise God!
Oh, fuck you, dude. Anyway, like I said, before update 13.3, Trinity was all about Blessing. You could literally keep up God mode for like 30 seconds or so. The update, however, allowed all remaining energy to be released upon death of said enemy. So if you would EV an enemy before the update, you would only get the energy if it pulsed, after the update, you would get all the rest of the energy as well. This pretty much turned her into a walking battery, and with Transient Fortitude, it got even better. And that's pretty much how we got to where Trinity is now, as a walking battery.
Well, yeah, except for those interesting Viver changes, you know what I'm saying?
Yo, Thunder, shut up. Like, we don't mention those things, okay? We don't. Never happen. Anyway, where was I?
You were fapping about some EV Trin stuff. I don't know.
Oh yeah, everybody knows EV Trin. Like, literally every player knows EV Trin. Why? Draco, Viver, all those XP farms, everybody's used EV Trin. Everybody knows how strong she is and how useful she is. She's literally free energy plates. Anyway, it's better that I let you talk about the EV Trin stuff, like the build-wise things and stuff.
I'm allowed to speak in my own video? What? Thank you for the permissions.
Yeah, fuck you, get on with it already.
Let's get on with the EV build, guys. Like Arthi mentioned, it's one of the most important builds in Warframe and is extremely effective for any level, no matter the group you're running, so let's get right into it. Energy Vampire will mark an enemy, and that enemy will then emit 4 pulses over 9 seconds, restoring energy to all allies within range. Evil will also do 6.25% of the current health as finisher damage, which is also affected by power strength. So not only does it scale because of its utility, it also scales in damage, which is pretty rare these days. The damage of this ability used to have an incredible niche where if you had enough power strength to do more than 10% finishing damage, you could actually one-shot mobs with the use of Well of Life. By increasing the health times 10 and by casting your EV at the end of Well of Life, you would do 10% of the buff health, so in practice, this would mean 100%. Unfortunately, this has been stealth nerfed and it no longer does the damage based on total health, but on current health, which means the end of the wombo combo.
Fucking murderers.
Anyway, the key for EV build is that the duration is between pulses can be reduced by negative duration, which means faster recasting. Fleeting Expertise and Transient Fortitude help give us that minimum duration for faster pulses. Overextended and Stretch give us 58.75 meters on our EV and Blind Rage combined with Transient Fortitude, which will give us 48.5 energy per pulse. Prime Flow combined with Quick Thinking gives us much more energy to cast from, as well as some survivability as well. The X-List slot and Open slot are up to personal preference. You could, for example, use Vampire Leech, maybe Cunning Drift, Speed Drift, Natural Talent are all, legitimate options. I personally run Vampire Leech and Speed Drift just to get that extra utility, as well as for that extra casting speed. As usual, Corrosive Projection is the aura of my choice.
He does not have any other aura mods, guys, just saying.
Shut up, I do! Fuck's sake, I do. For Arcanes and Focus guys, you can run whatever you feel like. She's literally the only frame that has this kind of freedom, simply due to how amazing her kit is.
I think it's time we talk a little bit more about the history again.
Blessing?
Yeah. For all the whining Mag fans do, Trinity is actually the frame who got the most changes in her lifetime, and it's all because of Blessing. That ability alone has been more or less the Achilles heel or sore point for DE's balance team, simply because of how of a controversial ability it is. I mean, this picture exists for a reason, thank you 4chan. So in total, this ability has gone through 12 documented changes, or 17 if you want to count stealth nerfs. I've seen it literally evolve from this like crazy invincibility global heal to damage reduction based on health healed to flat out damage reduction like it is right now. But one thing has always been the same. One thing has always stood out to me. DE has always wanted to make Trinity this reactionary healer, but every iteration and every change she got has always made Blessing preemptive through God mode or through damage reduction, and not a real healer. The reason for this, in my opinion, is that because of the crazy scaling in Warframe, you cannot really have a reactionary healer. simply because of the one-shotting. You simply do not have time. You literally need some form of invincibility or damage reduction to prevent you as a Trinity to be constantly blessing. Problem with damage reduction is that it only scales so far, and if you want Trinity to be a reactionary healer, you kind of need to do something more. But I'll expand on this more as we move along in the video. Anyway, the ability before update 13 used to give absolute god mode, and if you ran 2 Trinities, for example, you could literally stay in survivals for hours and hours simply because of constant god mode. Kind of like Harrow right now, but in a different fashion. Anyway, it got changed over time to damage reduction based on health healed, which eventually led to the glaive self-damage meta, and also talons and other stuff. This again got changed, and again and again.
And again?
Yeah, I know. Anyway, Blessing now gives a flat 50% damage reduction upon cast, which is affected by power strength up to 75%. And on top of that, allies now have to be within affinity range to receive heals as well. This, to me, killed Trinity, and for a lot of players as well. This is just not fun. Not only did she get nerfed in terms of usability for raids or for other stuff, but she also got some like blockers and bullshit changes along the way. Like, why the range? I don't know. Right now, there is simply no reason to build for Blessing alone. And you can make her work with just a Bless build, but it's honestly better to build for a more hybrid sort of build. Frozen?
Oh, right, I forgot I was in this video. So, like I said before, I've never really been much of a Trinity player. Her playstyle and her kit didn't really appeal to me, and with the whole self-damage thing, it just felt bad to play. However, Artie recently asked me to try the more hybrid build, and this is closer to what I think DE intended for Trinity. Instead of just focusing on Blessing, or instead of just focusing on EV or anything like that, you actually use Link and Blessing and EV, all of them combined together. And because of your high energy cost, you are forcing yourself to use energy as well at the same time. So it kind of like recycles all the abilities together. The build used to be used for self-nuking with Link and Blessing, and even though that aspect isn't as good as it used to be, this build has honestly made me enjoy Trinity more, so let's have a look. Like I mentioned earlier on, this build doesn't focus on just Blessing alone. It uses Link combined with Blessing to make yourself immune to staggers and knockdowns, as well as give you a 75% damage reduction on both Blessing and Link. This actually means we have a 93.75 damage reduction, which makes her more of a tank. Duration is the main key here, as we want to keep up those abilities pretty much 100% of the time. Narrow-minded, prime continuity, and constitution together with the arcane aura helmet if you have it gives us a very comfortable 33.84% on our Link and 28.2 seconds on our Blessing. Range is the next important stat to mod for, and our overextended and stretch will give us a 42.25 range on our energy vampire and 33 meters on our Link. Power strength is also needed to counteract overextended and to give us enough damage reduction on our Blessing and make EV worth using. With just blind rage and power drift, we will be sitting at 75% damage reduction on Bless, and we also get 38.5 energy per pulse from EV. Corrosive Projection again, because of how ridiculous armor is, and also, did you know I have other aura mods too?
You didn't.
Yeah, yes I did. Anyway, you can choose to run Natural Talent for faster casting, or even a baiting Link instead of overextended. I personally don't like running a baiting Link because Link is limited to 3 enemies at a time. In terms of Arcanes, Arcane Aura and Vazarin once again are nice to have. Actually, Vazarin is slightly different just because of the bonuses the passives give. It again depends on what you want to run.
Guys, quick heads up, Trinity also works extremely well with those health scaling mods. With Well of Life, like Sobek and Jatkitag work extremely well with Will of Life. One other cool thing you can do with Link is you can use it as a sort of radar to find enemies more quickly.
Honestly speaking though, ever since Artie showed me this build, it really has revitalized Trinity for me.
Get the fuck out, dude.
I'm just saying, this build really made me enjoy Trinity. I really believe that this is how she was intended to be played. You're actively supporting your team while tanking a lot of damage. It's really fun. and you don't have to rely on a, copied glaive build to get your damage reduction, which is great.
But
Yeah. What Arti wants me to say, and I agree with, is that although this build does play really well, the changes done to her over time have left her blessing in a state that leaves a lot to be desired with in terms of scaling and design. Trinity has always been played to prevent damage instead of healing allies when necessary, and that bothers both me and Arti. So we'd like to give some suggestions on how to complement her design, give her some actual scaling on her blessing without making her borderline broken or overpowered. I know this is a very touchy subject because of the history of the ability, which is why I talked to Arthi and a lot of other Trinity players before making this video. Arthi, you mind starting me on this one?
okay, so instead of focusing constantly on blessing, I think that ability has received enough changes as it is. So what we could do is buff her link so that you also target your allies within affinity range to stick to the whole design of affinity range, so that Trinity will emit 6 links, so to say. When players are linked to her and they take fatal damage, they would enter this sort of Nidus invincibility dying state. And when they do, during that period, Trinity can bless. Those 5 seconds would then also be used to account for all the damage that has been done to all players, and that will then be counted towards your damage reduction. Of course, those 5 seconds would also be extended with duration mods, kind of like Wukong's Defy and Harrow's Covenant. The invulnerability phase is more or less my idea to allow Trinity to be a reactive healer, and it's, in my opinion, the only way to make it so that she can be reactive with the scaling that we have right now. Like I said, all damage that gets done to all players would then be converted to damage reduction, which allows Blessing to actually scale again. This would not only fix Trinity's scaling issues, but it would also fix her design, and it would actually turn her into a healer instead of a damage reduction frame.
Yeah, but what about self-damage? People will still use self-damage to either get invincibility or damage reduction.
They can easily disable self-damage, for example, where you don't need to self-damage, or where if people self-damage, they just die. They don't get their invincibility, and then they just look silly or whatever.
That sounds pretty good, actually. Yeah.
And also, if DE really wants to please Trinity players and actually make her solid, to never have to touch her again, they should do the following things: make Well of Life and the Augment good, actually worth using outside of Sobek. Make Eevee and Link castable in the air, for Christ's sake, and make her passive good.
Oh my god, yes! You know what? It really bothers me that I can't cast any of my abilities in the air for Trinity. We've got all these other frames that can, but Trinity can't. Honestly, all of these changes would make me want to play the shit out of Trinity. I'm not even lying.
And me too, man.
You already do, though! Anyway, guys, I think that's pretty much it for the Trinity min-max itself. I do have a couple of announcements that I want to make as well. First of all, I really hope you enjoyed this type of video. It's the first time I've tried doing a collaboration with someone else, and seeing as I wanted to cover Trinity for a long time, and Arti was fine with it, I really wanted to make this a bit more of a special episode itself. If you really like this sort of thing, I can definitely try and fit more of these in the future, and maybe even do discussions with other people, for example. Secondly, I'm going to EGX next week. I'm going to be there for the full event. If you guys are going to be there, make sure to hit me up. I'm sure we can meet up, have a pint, have something to eat, or something or the other. It'd be great to meet you guys. The glyph distribution method has taken some time to set up, but I'm currently speaking to someone else to find a new way of getting those glyphs distributed. It's taking up too much time and it's annoying me as well, so I am looking for a viable solution for you guys as well. I'm hoping to release more videos on a regular basis as opposed to having a massive gap now that my busy period is getting a little bit lower as well. So expect more videos a little bit more frequently as opposed to with a massive gap between them. I'm streaming a lot of Warframe on Twitch as well, so if you guys ever want to watch the channel, the link is in the description, so you can feel free to hit that follow button so you know whenever I go live with Warframe or any other game that I play. And I think that's more or less it, guys. Thank you very much for watching, and if you like this kind of video, please leave a like, a comment, subscribe, and I will see you guys next time.